cryptic letter, a taunting symbol, a killer who promised more deaths than anyone could count. In the late 1960s, California was gripped by fear. An anonymous figure stalked couples, attacked in the dark, and left behind puzzles that mocked both the police and the press. He called himself the Zodiac, and to this day, no one knows who he really was. The story of the Zodiac Killer is not just about murder. It's about a cruel, calculated game, where the prize was power, attention, and terror. And the scariest part? The game has never truly ended. It began on December 20th, 1968, near Lake Herman Road. Two teenagers, Betty Lou Jensen and David Faraday, parked under the stars, hoping for a quiet moment together. Instead, they met the beginning of California's most infamous nightmare. A gunman approached, fired relentlessly, and left their bodies in the cold night air. At first, it looked like just another tragic killing. But 7 months later, the Zodiac made sure the world knew it was something more. On July 4th, 1969, in Vallejo, Darlene Ferrin and Mike Mageau were attacked in their car at Blue Rock Springs. Darlene died, Mike survived. Within hours, police received a chilling phone call. "I want to report a double murder. If you go 1 mile east, you'll find kids in a brown car. They were shot with a 9mm Luger. I also killed those kids last year. Goodbye." The same voice would haunt investigators for years to come. Just weeks later, the Zodiac shifted his game into something darker. He mailed 3 letters to local newspapers, each containing a piece of a cipher. He demanded that they print his words on the front page, or he would cruise around all weekend killing lone people in the night. In his own words, he introduced himself. "This is the Zodiac speaking." The letters were signed with a circle and crosshair symbol, an emblem that would soon become infamous. Inside the ciphers, he claimed his killings granted him slaves in the afterlife. The message was clear. He wasn't just killing for pleasure. He was killing for meaning and for attention. Over the next 2 years, Zodiac's attacks grew bolder, his letters more taunting, and his puzzles increasingly complex. September 27th, 1969, Lake Berryessa. Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were picnicking by the lake when a hooded man appeared with a gun. His outfit was chilling, a black executioner-style mask marked with the Zodiac's symbol. He tied them up, stabbed them repeatedly, and left them for dead. Brian survived. Cecilia did not. October 11th, 1969, San Francisco. A taxi driver, Paul Stine, was shot point-blank in his cab. But this time, Zodiac made a mistake. Witnesses saw him leaving the scene. Police even stopped a man nearby, but let him go, a blunder that still haunts investigators. And yet, Zodiac didn't run. He wrote to the newspapers again. This time, he included a piece of Paul Stine's bloodstained shirt as proof of his crime. The city was in panic. Schools canceled classes. Parents feared letting their children out at night. The Zodiac promised he would shoot out the tires of a school bus and pick off the kiddies as they came bouncing out. The fear was no longer limited to couples in parked cars. The Zodiac wanted everyone to feel hunted. Imagine being in California in those years 1968 to 1970. You read the newspapers and saw strange symbols staring back at you. You never knew if the person sitting beside you on the bus could be him. Parents gripped their children's hands tighter. Lovers thought twice before stopping by a quiet lake. The Zodiac had transformed murder into a public spectacle. It wasn't just about who he killed, it was about how he made millions feel powerless. Families of the victims lived with endless grief. Survivors lived with trauma. And police lived with frustration. Every lead seemed to collapse. Every suspect slipped through their fingers. The ciphers, too, played a cruel role. Some were cracked. The first solved message revealed his twisted philosophy. "I like killing people because it is so much fun." But others remained unsolved for decades until 2020, when a team of codebreakers finally cracked the infamous 340-character cipher. Inside, Zodiac mocked authorities again, insisting he wasn't afraid of death because it would bring him to paradise with his slaves. Even in silence, he still had power. Over the years, countless suspects were named. The most famous was Arthur Lee Allen, a troubled man with disturbing behavior, who seemed to fit many descriptions. But no DNA or definitive evidence ever tied him to the crimes. Others came and went: teachers, drifters, even ex-military men. Each time, hope surged that the case was close to being solved. Each time, the evidence fell short. Forensic technology has advanced. DNA has solved cases once thought impossible. And yet, Zodiac remains elusive. His identity is a riddle left behind, as chilling as his letters. The real twist? Despite decades of investigation, he might never have been just one man. Some theories suggest multiple killers under one persona. Others believe he may have died long ago, taking his secrets with him. What remains are the fragments, the taunting letters, the cryptic symbols, the families who never found justice, and the legend of a faceless figure who turned fear into his greatest weapon. The Zodiac Killer case is still open. Somewhere, hidden in old files and unsolved codes, may lie the truth that could finally unmask him. But until then, the symbol of the circle and crosshair lingers like a shadow. The story is not just about a man who was killed. It is about how he held an entire state hostage with fear, puzzles, and silence. And as long as the Zodiac's name is remembered, his game horrifyingly continues.